Hello, everybody, and welcome to our XR content development panel. Super excited. You get to hear the latest in enterprise, education, art, entertainment, all sorts of XR, Metaverse, Web3 content here. Let's start with some introductions. Daria, would you like to start?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeremy. Happy to be here. My name is Daria. I'm a founder and CEO of VAR Studio. Started this company 7 years ago from a big passion and love for XR technologies. And our main expertise is exactly in using AR and VR for specific business objectives. We help brands, we help enterprise innovation, we help startups to bridge their business with XR technologies, and we help them properly integrated into their ecosystem of different software tools. My passion is in XR. My current life is fully in XR, and I'm happy to be here on this panel with you guys, my industry neighbors, and having this discussion. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Daria. And I'm very excited to learn a little bit more about the details of each of the projects that you've been working on as well. John, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. John Blackman, CTO of ELB Learning. Our tagline is we help you create better learning experiences. So we're really all about immersive training, VR training, as well as traditional training as well. I'm here really to talk about our Scenario VR product, which is a rapid authoring tool for VR, which allows you to create immersive training very simply and very quickly.
I'm already very excited. I know VR XR training is one of the big sectors that lit up during the beginning of XR. So continuing with our introductions, Christoph, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Christoph Brushansky. I'm the creator of an open source library called Immersions.art. So it's a library for digital artists with just a bit of knowledge in JavaScript to create immersive environments. So yeah, I've created that because I'm a digital artist myself. I did it a year ago, and I didn't find the solution that was right for me. I'm not interested in social media. I'm not interested in video games. I just want to create the artistic projects, and I felt there was not something to do that. So that's why I've created it.
Very exciting. Yeah, creating something that doesn't exist. It's forefront of art and technology. Very exciting. Nicole, would you like to introduce yourself?
So I'm Nicole Lazaro, president and founder of Zio Design. For the past 30 years, we've revolutionized computing with the 4 Keys to Fun, which is all about how games create emotion. Among other things, I designed the first iPhone game, and I was the first person to measure emotion on people's faces while they played games. And that led to the 4 Keys to Fun, which is baked into the AI for The Sims. It inspired IBM's emotion analytics and led to this thing we call gamification. Currently, I'm working on Follow the White Rabbit, which is original IP, which we'll talk about a little bit, and then original game. And then we're also we have lots of clients in the gaming and enterprise space in the metaverse. So we're helping folks understand and develop content and platforms that really take advantage of all this new tech.
Yeah,
so glad
absolutely.
to be here. It's exciting.
Yeah, since all the players and users are humans, I imagine there's multiple applications of this human interaction research that you've done. I'd love to dive into more of that as well. Nikolai, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name's Nick. I'm the co-founder of Rocket VR Health. We're a digital therapeutics company that leverages virtual reality to help transform the mental health of people. We offer interactive meditations, cognitive behavioral therapy, digital programs, and we've partnered with some of the leading research institutions and have several clinical trials along with our solutions. And we're in the process of actually building and launching our meditation and wellness application for the Meta and Vive stores.
Super excited. Wow, we got enterprise training, art, and gaming and entertainment and health. Jonathan, would you like to turn on your camera?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have my camera on this computer, unfortunately, for tonight. I make my best to have one next time.
Oh, no problem. Your microphone is a little staticky. Maybe if you could, yeah, move a little, step
Is
away
it
from that
better?
slightly. Yeah, it's a little better. Yeah, yeah. Can you introduce
Okay,
yourself,
great.
please?
So I'm Jonathan Tamel. I'm co-founder of Backlight Studio, which is a VR studio we founded in 2008 with Frédéric Lecomte, my associate. We initially made CGI for advertisement and TV. And mostly also for digital, so on the internet and things like that. But back in 2008, and since 2014, we've been making VR mainly for advertisement. So we created a lot of brand content in VR, and since 2017, we've been creating LBVR experiences. Such as Eclipse, which was a VR experience, a VR escape game, and since then we've been creating a lot of different products like that. And we recently had the chance to work on a show with Blancali for a VR experience called Le Bal de Paris. I don't know if you've heard of it, which was a 10 people experience, free roaming dancing experience.
Yeah,
That
and real
won
quick,
the
LBE is a location-based entertainment. So VR,
yes.
arcade, theme park, multiplayer, people in the same room co-located and experiencing VR at the same time.
Yes,
Yeah,
thanks, Jeremy.
super
Sorry for
cool.
not explaining that beforehand. And so yeah, now Backlight is a company that created about 80 VR projects since 2014. So it's we have a pretty big trend on the subject right now.
Very cool. Awesome. And I'll go last. Hey, everybody, I'm Jeremy, founder and CEO of Venue, and we create Metaverse conference experiences to help you solve business problems, whether that's helping you acquire customers, helping you acquire investors, or engaging in advertising to your existing community. We are a Y Combinator backed, and we're currently having a equity crowdfunding round with WeFunder. So if anybody's interested, come talk to me. So yeah, extremely interested to just dive right in. I got a question for Daria and Christoph first. So hearing you all, working on XR content development, work for hire, and also Christoph developing your own art tools and your own art in XR, I'm curious, when you first got into VR XR, what got you in, and also have you pivoted throughout your timeline of what you're working on? I heard a little bit of Christoph going, okay, I went into the XR space. This didn't exist for me yet, right? So I created this thing. I'd love to hear a little bit about your journeys and any pivots that we can learn from. Whoever wants to jump on that first.
Christoph, would you love to start?
Yes, sure. Well, I'm an engineer in in my background career, so I'm working more in e-commerce and that sort of stuff. As an artist, I'm coming from moving images, from doing videos, and doing images digitally, and I always wanted to step into the 3D world, but initially I felt that the physical world was too constraining. I wanted to exhibit my things in huge physical spaces. I had tons of ideas about how to position them, and I was simply frustrated to not being able to do it in the physical world, and also I felt it was not right for me because I'm so much used to digital technology that being dirty, doing sculptures and all this sort of stuff never tempted to me. So that's what drove me into XR and virtual reality. And when I started to search what I would like to do, obviously I've been attracted by WebXR, this open format, because I really want, as an artist, I want to do something that I own. And I want all the artists to do something on that open library, to do something they own. And I think at the moment, with the solutions, you are never quite sure it's really your own. So that's yeah. I don't know if I really answer your question, because
Yeah, one quick follow-up. Can you elaborate
yeah.
on, you mentioned that you created something, immersions.art. Is this something that, is it a collection of your art pieces? That could you tell us a little bit more about that? Yeah.
Yeah. So So it's some of my project, but I also collaborated with other artists to help them understand what they would like to do in virtual reality. And what I've discovered is that for many artists still today, they haven't thought about virtual reality, and it's a whole journey to explain people the potential of virtual reality. The first reaction is, oh, I'm going to copy what I've done in the physical world and put it in virtual reality. But then they say it will never be as good as in the physical worlds. But then it takes a while so that they can understand they can do other things in virtual reality, which is not a copy of physical reality. And I find this process very interesting, but we are very early on still today in the artist community to understand the potential of virtual reality, I would say.
Yeah, and thank you, Christoph, for so elegantly explaining that. I think that concept is the basis of a lot of XR content development, right? We start from taking what we know in the real world, and then we start to learn, oh, actually, XR in the metaverse is actually really good at this. Let's excel and dive into this. Daria, same question for you in your studio. How did you get started?
Well, I was in game development before, so it was naturally for me to find out about AR and VR one day. And the day I found out, I fell in love, and that was a totally different day for me. So yeah, right now I cannot agree more with Christopher on the thing that we have to educate people first, and even still. There is a very low culture and very low level of awareness around the XR technologies and what are the value, what are the use cases, what are the numbers, how they can use that. So first is we have to educate all the time, and that's why we produce a lot of content and help people and industry to get aware of XR technologies. And from the perspective of content creation, it's always unique because we work as a service agency, and it always depends on the project we work with. With some brand, we can create dancing bananas in augmented reality, and we have to create just a simple 3D models, right? With some other, we are creating the virtual reality simulation for crane operators, and then we have really pay attention to the logics and mechanics of interaction with this virtual environment, with all the objects. With some, we have to integrate this speech recognition and tracking, or body motion tracking, or data analytics. So it's always different. And I think that we're still learning ourselves because the industry is very turbulent. And every day we can find a new technology published somewhere on the store, or a new startup appeared with some specific technology. And this is what I love a lot about our industry.
Very cool. Yeah, I totally agree with you. An XR app is not just an app. It's a solution to solve a problem. You mentioned whether it's a game or for operating a crane for construction, right? Everything's customized to solve real world problems. I love to transition into learning the science behind what John and Nikolai and Nicole is working on. For John, I'd love to learn about the science behind learning and training. Why did you choose to use XR? For Nikolai, the science behind health, wellness, and meditation. And Nicole, I would love to dive into what you alluded to earlier about the principles of gaming and fun. But John, let's start with you. What can you break down the science of learning and training in XR?
So probably about 5.5 years ago, I was tasked on a mission to figure out what the future of learning would be. And I really looked into it. I had been, I'm a programmer by trade, and had built our original tool called Lectora long ago for creating learning. And I was looking for the next best thing. And it really became obvious, even though back then VR was at its infancy, that VR was the way to go. I mean, so you have much better retention rates with VR learning, even just immersive learning, with WebXR. People are more engaged, they're more involved with the learning. And so you just get much better results with it. But at that time, creating VR was extremely complicated, and still is for a lot of people, right? So, I mean, you got to have programmers, 3D designers, things like that. And so my goal was to create a tool that anyone could use to create immersive learning. And so that became Scenario VR. I wrote the prototype and, built a team, and we wrote the program called Scenario VR, and it allows you to create your immersive environment and then make it interactive. And it's something that's as simple as PowerPoint. So, you really get you really get all the good things that come with immersive learning, that retention and that stuff, but it's not, you're not spending so much, you're not going through a whole lot to create it.
Very, very cool. And if I can follow up a little bit more, I'm curious to learn, as you've been deploying this with training and people, is it a corporate employee
Yeah,
training?
it's a corporate tool mostly,
Yeah,
although
yeah.
it's in a lot of universities as well. I actually I'm an adjunct professor at the University of Utah, and I teach students how to use it as well. So it gets used a lot in many different environments.
I'm curious, what are some of the results that you've seen, say perhaps compared to traditional learning, or the advantages that you've seen of
Right.
using it?
And so one of those big ones is probably ROI. And that's one that everyone worries about going into VR immersive learning. Hey, it's going to be so expensive. I can't afford this. That mentality is pervasive throughout, the industry. And what I present on many times is the return on investment, that you don't have to spend that much, and look how much it saves you. If you're training on equipment, you don't have to buy that piece of equipment for every single person, because you can train them in VR and they can just test out on the equipment. So you can buy less of it. The time spent is less, the retention is less. So there's a lot of reasons you can get good ROI from VR.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's going to be a common trend throughout each of our speakers as well, because I can definitely relate to that for venue. As an event organizer, you don't no longer have to negotiate with the venue and rent a place and book people in advance to fly in. People don't have to fly in, travel, drive, and be stuck there. I think the cost, the time, the convenience is absolutely huge, just all across the board with XR Metaverse. Nikolai, I'm curious, could you tell us a little bit about why use XR to apply to health and wellness, and tell us a little bit more about your specific scenario.
Yeah, for sure. So when we started the company, we actually were building a mobile application to deliver cognitive behavioral therapy, specifically with a focus on patients with cancer. There's just been this huge trend happening where we've been able to conduct a lot of research as an industry to show that digital interventions can be as strong as therapist-led interventions with cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness and some of these other modalities. Unfortunately, right now in the United States alone, there's about 4 million missing behavioral health professionals. And there's a big mental health crisis, and there's really a need for self-care tools that are very personalized to each individual to be delivered and made accessible. But unfortunately, mobile applications and delivery of these interventions, their usage rates drop significantly. My previous startup, we built a mobile telemedicine application, and what we were finding is when you actually have a person-to-person connection, it's very expensive, and then when you actually do have the insurance coverage, it's not enough. And we're really finding that leveraging virtual reality and these immersive experiences, we can actually build therapeutic interventions that are way more engaging than what you can do with conventional mobile applications, can be highly personalized to those individuals and their conditions and what they're actually speaks to them. And then adding a layer of that interactivity, where we can actually still have this on-demand, cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness approaches, but also layering in that live connection that everybody craves in terms of community, in terms of talking with like-minded people and being able to ask for help. So what we've done is we've really taken all those three approaches, which is the cognitive behavioral therapy, extraordinary mindfulness experiences, as well as the live support, really combining them all together in the same platform. So we've been very focused for the last year on really research, because it's a brand new industry. This technology hasn't been proven. A lot of, mental health professionals, mental health leaders don't really, believe in it yet. So we wanted to actually conduct research and find things out from the research. So we've partnered with several leading institutions. So one we're working with in Canada is the University of Calgary. We're working with Penn Medicine in Philadelphia, as well as MGH Hospital, which is Harvard's research hospital, conducting multiple clinical trials ongoing at the moment, where we're really trying to find out how do we build the best interventions that are highly personalized and proven to be effective. It's still early on. There's a lot to learn, and some data is coming back with some of our initial studies, and then we're using that data to really upgrade the interventions that we're building in order for them to be more engaging and really deliver this next level of care, which is what the big opportunity we have is when leveraging virtual reality within mental health and wellness.
Very cool. And I'm curious, when you mention interaction, the social element of it, just by a show of hands, who here has dealt with, played with, some sort of social XR, right? Where there's not a solo experience, but there's multiple people in the space. I see a few hands come up. Yeah, I think that's a huge superpower of the metaverse and XR, is being able to bring people from all around the world together and have it feel like you're actually there, feel and sense their presence. And Nicola, you use it for mental health, for cognitive behavioral therapy. We use it for business connections, right? Others use it for social, for learning, for and other work. So super cool. Nicole, I'd love to dive into the 4 points that you alluded to earlier.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, the great conversation. I love what everyone is doing. In overall, what I think in terms of the metaverse is that there are the most important technology in the metaverse, the absolutely most important thing, which people rarely talk about, to your point earlier, is the most important thing about the metaverse is really it's people. People are the most important thing, because without people, what's the point? And so I have a degree in psych from Stanford, and I used Paul Ekman's facial action coding to track emotions in real time using micro expressions, moment-to-moment gameplay, and created this model called the four keys to fun. And it revolutionized, gaming. So it's baked into the AI for The Sims, as I mentioned earlier. We've used it on Myst. We've used it on Star Wars. Lots of different types of games, as well as non-games as well. And when we think about where we are with the metaverse, of course, it is still about human interaction, and we're providing new kinds of. It's important. Web3 is a new kind of human-computer interaction. And I like to say that there are no wimps in the metaverse. And by wimps, I mean there are no windows, icons, mice, pointers, or solo play. So there are no wimps. The UX for the metaverse is going to be, is going to be completely different from that. We're going to want to feel like a Neo in the Matrix plugged in. You want to feel like, whoa, wow, I'm there. Instead of scrolling windows of doom, like we do now in social media, we're going to want worlds of content. We want hand and object interaction, really juicy hand and object interaction. We will want our avatars, not just a cursor or a pointer, right? And buttons. And then we'll also want a social co-creative, social collaborative interaction that builds things. And that's what you're seeing in Roblox or Sandbox and a lot of other venues where you've got this next level of, human interaction. I'm not just a mouse, a finger on a mouse anymore. And we're doing things, we're interacting socially. So going back to the 4 keys, and I have a talk, you can look me up. It's now on TED.com if you want to look up just, Nicole Lazzaro, TED.com. But essentially what we're doing now is we want to get these interactions. What I noticed in computing and in games is that there are really people play games for 4 reasons. They play for novelty, they play for challenge, they play for friendship, and they play for meaning. And this is what we call the 4 keys to fun. And so the first one is called Easy Fun, and it is the curiosity, it's the hook that pulls you in. So in our XR game, Follow the White Rabbit, you get to explore this Myst-like environment projected into your real world. It could be an XR or maybe an AR, like these are the new these are the new prototype Snap lenses, nice. AR ones. And that creates the curiosity, wonder, and surprise. But after a while, if you think of a game like basketball, dribbling the ball is fun. But it's a lot more fun if we've got a goal. So then we shift from easy fun, which is dribbling or bubble wrap of game design, like to say, to hard fun, where you've got a basketball hoop that's high above, and you want to get, there's a challenge there, opportunity to fail, and obstacle that you need and strategy you need to get where you're going. And that's frustration that eventually leads to fiero, the feeling of winning the Grand Prix, and you can't just push a button to get there, right? It's not just all about usability, because if you take all of the challenge out, then it's like, okay, well, I'm just you're not engaging the player fully, right? You're not engaging the person fully. Learning is a challenge as well. And then there's a social interaction, of course, with people fun, because it's more fun to win in the context of friends. You have competition, cooperation, communication, leadership, Schadenfreude, nachas, laughter actually is probably the one that you most commonly see with people fun. And then lastly, there's serious fun, which is all about the meaning, creating value and meaning once the activity is done. It can be the feeling of learning, in the case of like what John was talking about, or the feeling of relief in terms of what Nicola was talking about, or just simply artistic expression, that I've made something like Christoph was talking about, so that I've got something in the real world, that I've created this thing in Sandbox, or in Decentraland, or we've had this great discussion and I've got a stack of business cards from being in venue, today. So that's that final takeaway. So we've got those things. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Nicole, very, very interesting. As you were going through those points, I saw Christoph and Daria and Nikolai nodding their heads. I'm curious, was that because you all related to something? If you all want to comment on top of agree, disagree, right, from your own experiences.
Yeah, I was nodding specifically to the UX standards, because it's still not there. It's totally different UX in VR, in AR applications, and we're creating those standards at the moment. We're validating different ideas. We're trying out the user interface embedded with the virtual environment, or being a part of your avatar system, or being connected to your camera, or different types of combinations and intersections. And I love what Nicole said about that, because every time I speak to artists or to the designer who's creating those type of interfaces and user experience scenarios, we always talk about how we can improve the user experience in virtual reality or in augmented reality, because it's still not there. We still don't have any best practices. And at the moment, we all are creating those best practices for the industry, for the future applications, for the future artists. And this is what I love a lot, about this stage of the industry at the moment.
Yeah, and I think what really resonated with me was the I guess these creative social experiences. So one thing that we're testing right now is how do we actually bring people together for group meditations or group social sharing sessions that are very curated with people going through the same thing, or they have the same goals. What we're finding is, the metaverse that, everybody sees in the world, is the horizons, and you go into the horizons, and when it's not a curated group of people where you have shared interests or shared goals, you don't want to be there. Just like anywhere in the world, I don't want to be in the mall during Boxing Day, but I would love to go to my yoga class, and I feel like the actual curation of these types of spaces is really important. And another thing that really resonated with what Nicole was sharing is just about how drastic of a change it is in terms of the user interface. So our first user interface we created was kind of like, a standard, user interface. And now we've moved into like a fully embodied, experience where, you are in the future versus, you're kind of the way that things used to be. So I think going to take it just so much more intuitive to interact with the environment this way, that I can see so many things changing, away from us being in these little squares to us being all together in the same location.
And I think that is something that we can take from real life, because in real life we do interact with one another, right, in the 3D environment. So Jonathan, last question for you here. Correct me if I'm wrong, you've worked with Disney, with Marvel, with museums, and I'd love to hear a little bit about those projects. I want to transition to our last question for everybody now. What are some of the opportunities that you're offering at this conference, the problems you're solving, who should come talk to you, and what's the best way to reach you? And
it's a good question. We had the chance to work with a lot of big brands and on a lot of pretty big subjects for VR, let's say, because we were originally a company that were making like I said, advertisements. So we had those contacts, and we managed even in 2014, we managed to bring those brands, which were used to work with us on very high quality content, to try and go for VR. And our philosophy on VR was always to bring the same level of quality any brand would like to have for their usual commercials and TV commercials and everything you would like to see for your brand on social medias and internet, and to be able to bring this kind of quality to VR. So we were very focused on the visual quality and the needs of our clients at the time, and it helps us to bring them to this point where we could create products for them that were more than just VR advertisement, but was really to offer some kind of a glimpse of the universe of the brand, to bring people into also their philosophy. For an example, we created a project for L'Oréal for the perfume, diesel perfume. Maybe you know the brand. The name of the perfume is Only the Brave. We work on this brand specifically, and we created a VR experience where you had to be brave. It was kind of a vertigo experience where you had to be brave to be able to reach the perfume, and it was a way to make you the character of the brand and the experience, and to make you the main character of the advertisement. And it was very effective because it was bringing fun and also the philosophy of the client, of the brand for the customer, and it was very effective on this side. And we also had the chance, because we're very passionate about that, to create other project, like more artistic project than this. And we had the chance to make a lot of R&D on all the brand content projects, to be able to create our own creations. And one of the last I was talking about was the experience of Le Bal de Paris, which is a 10-player experience in the same space. It's a physically based experience where everyone is holding hands into VR, and we had the chance to bring the kind of emotion you can have only in VR, while living very beautiful things and hanging around in a very beautiful scenery, while being all together next to each other. And it's something, the VR experience, and you can, when a VR experience is well made, you can interact with it like in real life, and being able to enter a VR experience with other people where you can interact like in real life is something very useful, I think, for the metaverse and the future of metaverse also.
And Jonathan, who are the types of customers or partners that you're looking for to connect with? Who maybe folks who are looking to create experiences like this and branding experiences like this?
It's a very good question right now. Well, VR is a thing since about 10 years now. We still don't. It's always difficult to find talented people into VR. Directors, designers, everything. People that really feel like they could go to VR. It's pretty difficult right now. We still have to bring people to it, and to teach them VR, how to create and how to think into it. Most of the artists and directors and a lot of people like that, writers and everything, they still don't really know very well how to create for VR. And so having the chance, we would love to be able to work with to work more with schools and things like that, to teach how to create for VR, because it's something we need right now. And for a Backlight as a company, for the development, we're still very
awesome. Sorry, Jonathan, I got to cut you short because we got to wrap this up. So I'm going to do lightning rounds. Down the line here. Hey, folks, what's your vision for the future of XR, of the metaverse, of what you're working on? And who should come talk to you at this conference, and what's the best way to reach you? Perhaps Daria, let's start with that.
Well, I would try to make it fast. My vision for the metaverse is the combination of the blockchain, crypto, technologies with the virtual and augmented reality or any type of reality as the visual part, and the component of socializing in there and having the experiences all together. So it should be decentralized, it should be cross-platform, it should be a lot of things in there, but I see that we have these components all around, but we have to put it all together and make it work. So hopefully it will happen in the next 10-15 years. But at the moment, I would love to see many more companies and brands creating their presence in Metaverse as it is at the moment, right? But trying waters with the AR, VR application with blockchain-based technologies or with crypto NFTs. I would love to see more proactive position from the enterprise and building some of the presence for them as well. From the perspective of what we are looking for at the moment, potential collaboration partners, clients, these are the brands who are looking for AR, VR solution development, startups who have AR, VR technologies, the core one, and they're looking for a technology partner who can develop that solution for them. And also the industrial companies who are moving in this industry 4.0 and integrating innovations into their operations and processes. We also help these companies integrate AR and VR into their innovation strategy.
Awesome. And what's the best way to reach you?
Well, I guess LinkedIn.
Awesome. And John?
Sure. In our perspective, we're looking at VR through the training eye, and I mean, it's already on its growth there. I mean, every company is either looking into it or beginning their journey into VR, and I think that's only going to go from here. It's being adopted at a rapid pace. And as far as who should look for me, certainly anyone that is in a corporate area or university area that is interested in immersive learning or training or even just creating their own VR. I mean, we actually have a way. It's a rapid authoring tool for VR. It's kind of unique in the industry, which is kind of nice. And certainly, obviously on LinkedIn, but as well, it's scenariovr.com. You can just come to there and hit us up and we'll get right back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Christoph?
Yes. So, I mean, any person who's not familiar with VR and has a bit of knowledge in JavaScript, so I think they could just try the library. It's not necessary for artists only. It's about anybody who would like to create an immersive environment. Best way to reach me is on my website. Just type Christoph Brushansky. You will see my website. I try to promote deep thinking, and so I encourage people just to book a call with me. I prefer to speak with people than having to have too many chat windows opened. And my vision for the future is getting rid of walled gardens. I know that now we've been through a stage where we could think of metaverse and all of that through iPhone apps and social media platforms. I don't believe in it at all. I really hope we won't repeat the same mistakes that we've done in social media, and that we will create an open environment that is really encourage people to have meaningful interactions. And that cannot work if we just copy and paste what we've tried to do with social media and put it in the metaverse. That we just destroy it all. So let's give ourselves the opportunity to invent something truly new and not to reinvent the models of the past 20 years.
Thank you, Christoph. Nikolai?
I really feel that the metaverse and XR technologies use in helping well-being and mental health is going to be in wide use in the next 10 years. There's so many people that need the help, and I feel like being able to really go to these places of refuge, places of sanctuary, to have these therapeutic experiences, whether you're alone or with somebody else, and then being able to then access some of the world's best minds in terms of understanding your thoughts, feelings, behaviors, habits. How do you change in a fully personalized fashion is going to be one of the top ways that we bring more people into virtual reality, and then virtual reality and mixed reality is really being used for good. If you'd like to learn more, visit our website, rocketvr.health. We are looking for investors, research partners, and then people that are interested in really helping us test and improve our solutions. We're working on really our well-being meditation app that's going to be for anybody. We've really been focused on working for hospitalized patients and people with chronic conditions, but really are trying to think bigger and really build something amazing based on a lot of this research we've already done. So I'd love to connect with people that are interested, in trying this and being a part of that. And thank you.
And a best way to reach you? I forget if you mentioned.
Just on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, cool.
Passive, you'll find me there.
Jonathan, what was the best way to reach you?
You can reach me on LinkedIn, or of course you can go on the website of Backlight Studio, which is backlight.fr.
Awesome, thank you. And Nicole, close us off.
Okay, wow. I really love what everyone has said, actually. I'd like to just add a few things about the future of the metaverse. Well, as we've seen in the past few weeks, actually, the winners of Web3 are not going to be the winners of Web2. All of the business models, keep in mind that all the business models of Web2 were invented in Web2. And I make the same belief that Christoph did, is that there are let's not repeat the mistakes of Web2 when we're building Web3. There are no wimps in the metaverse. There's new interaction. And I'd like it to be people-centered and interoperable. So no walled gardens. And Metcalfe's law will, if we remember, do we remember Prodigy and CompuServe? A lot of those early efforts with Web 1 were to create these walled gardens. It's eventually not going to work because a lot of the Web3 tech, like distributed ledgers, is a conduit for interoperability. And so that is going to go, it'll dig under any kind of wall you want to erect there. And then I think if you're thinking about Web3 and no wimps, what are we going to do for new user interaction? Game mechanics from the entire history of games, from pie menus on The Sims to voice interaction and Call of Duty, that sort of thing. Game mechanics have always led new UX. And we're going to look at these new kinds of things, in addition to UGC, I like to think of UGC-ETT. So user-generated content, experiences, and tools and templates. Those are the mechanics that every platform is going to need to really, thrive in Web3 and to build a planetary scale, metaverse. So the distributed ledgers and crypto will all be important. And XR displays, like what we're working with new games for glasses or for headset, and new modalities like haptics. So we're working a lot with the feel of things, surface textures, directional force, all of that, which will be possible now. And the people that we want to look at, want to connect with, are immersive platform and content creators for metaverse strategy and design. And again, a lot of our work, is in my consulting practice at Zeo Design. And we're also looking for XR investors, people who are interested in investing in XR games. The Follow the White Rabbit game that we're working on, it's a mind-bending adventure about a magician whose magic one day suddenly works. We go around the world to these crazy escape rooms. You can find out more about that and about No Wimps up on TED.com. If you want more about the 4 Keys to Fun, you can go to a short code 4K2F, 4keys.com, 4K2F.com, or just my website, xzeodesign.com, zeodesign.com. If you want to reach me, I'm Nicole Lazzaro, Lazzaro, on LinkedIn.
Awesome. And with that, thank you to all of our speakers. And thank you to our audience. Please reach out and let's start making those connections. That's it for our panel. Thank you, everybody. Awesome.
Thanks,
and
Thank you.
thank you all.
This was fun.
Yeah.
This was
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank you for your time.
Bye.
Thank you for sticking around.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Bye.